Welcome to Chat with Charlie on Mum Matters, the real talk podcast for mums navigating the beautiful chaos of motherhood. I'm Charlie, mum of 5, here to help you feel more confident and less overwhelmed from pregnancy to those am I doing this right moments we all have. We talk about the stuff that no one prepares you for, so go and grab a cuppa and let's dive in. Hello and welcome back to Chat with Charlie on Mum Matters. I'm Charlie, mum of 5, with kids ages from 11 down to 2. Firstly, I just want to thank you for being here every single week for every episode, for showing up for yourself and for listening to Chat with Charlie, Mum Matters podcast. I'm so glad that we're taking this journey together. So today's episode, we're talking about something that I genuinely believe could change your entire experience of motherhood. We're talking about boundaries. Now, before you skip ahead and think, I already know that I need boundaries, stay with me, because this episode isn't just about knowing that you need them. It's about giving yourself permission to actually set them. And more importantly, it's about you walking through exactly how to do it without that crushing guilt that makes you want to take it all back 5 minutes later. Because here's the thing that I think no one tells you. You can know that you need boundaries and still feel like a terrible person for actually setting them for yourself. So if you ever said yes when you meant no, if you ever let someone hold your baby when every fibre of your being wanted to say not right now, if you ever answered the door to visitors when you were still in yesterday's pajamas and hadn't eaten, this one is for you. So let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with the real stuff. Why we don't set boundaries. Because if it was easy, we'd all be doing it already, right? I think for most mums, and I include myself in this, it comes down to a few things. The first one is a big one that we're all very familiar with, and that's guilt. We feel guilty for prioritizing ourselves. We've been conditioned to believe that being a good mom means putting everyone else first all the time. So when we even think about saying no, there's this little voice that whispers, what kind of mom does that make you? And I want to tell you something right now. That voice is lying to you. Secondly, we are people pleasers. I can see you nodding at this. So many of us grew up learning that our job is to keep the peace, to make everybody comfortable, not to rock the boat. And then we become mums, and suddenly everyone has an opinion about how we should be doing things, and we just absorb it. Because saying, actually, I'd prefer it if you didn't do that, feels confrontational. It feels rude. It feels like we're being difficult. But here's what I've learned after 5 babies. Being easy often comes at the cost of your mental health. Third, we don't even know what our boundaries are. Isn't that a funny one to digest? Just think about that for a second. Do you even know what your boundaries are? Because this one took me years to realise. I was so busy reacting to everyone else's needs that I never stopped to ask myself, what do I actually need? What's okay with me and what's not? If you've never been asked that question before, then I'm asking you right now. Take a minute to answer. And fourth is fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of being judged for setting those boundaries. Fear that people will stop loving us if we're not constantly available, constantly accommodating, constantly saying yes. But here's the truth that I want you to sit with. The people who love you, they'll adjust. And the people who don't, they were never respecting you in the first place. So now let's flip it. Why do we need boundaries? Why are they important? Because without them, you'll burn out. Period. Full stop. The end. I see this all the time with mums I support. They're exhausted. They're overwhelmed. They're touched out. They're running on empty. And when we dig into it, it almost always comes back to the same thing. They've been saying yes to everyone except themselves. Boundaries aren't about being selfish. They're about being sustainable. Let me say that again. Boundaries are not selfish. They are sustainable. Think about it this way. If you're constantly pouring from an empty cup, eventually, naturally, there's nothing left. Not for you, not for your baby, not for your partner, not for anyone. When the cup is empty, it's empty for everyone. But when you protect your time, your energy, your mental space, you actually have more to give. You're more present, you're calmer, and you're actually happier. And here's the other thing. Your children are watching you. When you set boundaries, you're modeling something incredibly powerful for them. You're teaching them that it's okay to say no, that their needs actually matter, that they don't have to abandon themselves to be loved. That's a gift that will last their entire lives. An important gift. And finally, and this one's important, boundaries are an act of self-respect. When you set boundaries, you're saying, I matter too. And you do. You really, really do. Now, I think part of the reason the boundaries feel so scary is because we've got this idea of them being aggressive, like walls, like you're shutting people out. But that's not what boundaries are. Boundaries are simply the line between what's okay for you and what's not okay for you. They're not about controlling other people. You can't do that anyway. You literally can't control anyone else. They're about being clear on what you need and communicating it. A boundary might sound like, I'd love visitors, but not this week. I'll let you know when we're ready. Please don't give me advice unless I ask for it. I need 20 minutes to myself when my partner gets home before I can be fully present. See how gentle that is? It's not aggressive. It's not rude. It's just honest. And honestly, most of the time, people respect that. They might be surprised at first, especially if you're always the person that says yes. But they will adjust pretty quickly. It might take them aback, like, whoa, at first, because they're not used to you talking like that. But that's what boundaries are. They're getting people used to how you want them to treat you. And that's what you have to do in life. You have to teach people how they are allowed to treat you. That is boundaries. If they don't accept that version of you, that tells you everything you need to know about that person. Okay, so this is the bit you've been waiting for, the how. I'm going to walk you through a really simple process you can start using today, like literally today, to set your boundaries. Step 1, get clear on what you actually need. What are your boundaries? I know this sounds so obvious, but so many of us skip this step. We're so used to focusing on what everyone else needs that we forget to ask what we actually need. So here's your homework. Take 5 minutes today, just 5 minutes, and write down 3 things that are draining you right now. 3 things that make you feel resentful or exhausted. Maybe it's visitors showing up unannounced. Maybe it's your mom making comments about how you're feeding the baby. Maybe it's your partner expecting dinner on the table when you've been holding a newborn all day. Whatever it is, write it down. Because once you name it, you can address it. Step 2, decide what you want instead. For each of those 3 things, write down what you would prefer, what would actually feel supported. This is your boundary. You're not being demanding. You're just being clear. Step 3, use the I statement formula. This is the magic script. When you need to set a boundary, use this structure. I feel whatever emotion you're feeling. When, then the situation. I need, and then you say what you need. So, for example, I feel overwhelmed when visitors come without notice. I need people to text me first so I can let them know if it's a good time. Example 2, I feel anxious when I get unsolicited advice. I need support, not suggestions, unless I ask for it. It's simple, it's not aggressive, and it puts the focus on your experience, not blaming the other person. Step 4, prepare for pushback, but don't let it stop you. Here's the hard truth. Not everyone's going to love your boundaries. Some people might get annoyed or frustrated. Some might try to guilt trip you. Some might say, "Oh, you've changed." And you know what? You have changed. You've become a mom who knows her worth. When that happens, you can simply say, I understand this is different, and this is what I need right now. You don't need to over-explain. You don't need to justify. You just need to hold your ground. Step 5, deal with the guilt, because it will come. You can set your boundaries perfectly, the other person can respect it completely, and you will still feel guilty. That's normal, completely normal. Guilt is just your brain catching up with a new way of being. I've been learning a lot about the subconscious mind lately, and I learned that the subconscious mind controls 95% of what we do, how we think. So if we've always thought a certain way and we haven't set these boundaries, our subconscious mind still thinks that that old way is the right way. And that's where the guilt comes from. But here's what helped me. I started asking myself, is this guilt because I've actually done something wrong? Or is this guilt because I'm doing something different? 9 times out of 10, it's the second one. You're not a bad person for having needs. You're not a bad mom for protecting your peace. The guilt is just the old conditioning you trying to put you back into the people-pleasing mode that you were before. So when that guilt shows up, and it will, I want you to thank it. Genuinely. Say, thanks for trying to protect me, but I'm safe. And this boundary is good for me. Because that's the job of the subconscious mind. It stores our old memories in order to keep us safe, what it thinks of us as safe. So by setting something new, it's okay to tell yourself, tell your mind that this is something new and it's good and I am safe. It sounds a bit crazy, I know, but it does work. Speak to yourself nicely. Speak to yourself positively. It makes such a difference. The more you practice, the quieter that guilt becomes. I promise you that. Before we wrap up, I want to give you a few real life examples of boundaries you might want to set, because sometimes the hardest part is just knowing where to start. With visitors, it's a big one for me. We're not taking visitors for the first 2 weeks. We'll reach out when we're ready. With your partner, I need 15 minutes when you get home to hand over the baby and just breathe before we talk about or do anything else. With your mum or mother-in-law, I really appreciate your experience. And right now, I need to figure this out my own way. If I need advice, I will ask. With yourself, I'm allowed to rest when the baby rests instead of cleaning the house. And you are allowed. That last one's important. Sometimes the boundaries we need the most are the ones that we set for ourselves. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to be everything to everyone all of the time. You just have to show up for yourself, one small boundary at a time. So let me leave you with this. You're allowed to take up space. You're allowed to have needs. You're allowed to say, this doesn't work for me. Setting boundaries doesn't make you difficult. It makes you a mum who knows her worth. So important. And when you protect your energy, you have more to give to the people who matter most, including yourself. So here's my challenge for you this week. Set one boundary, just one. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just one honest, this is what I need moment. And then come tell me about it. Send me a DM on Instagram, Charlie's Parenting Pages. I genuinely want to hear how it goes. This episode resonated with you. Please share it with a mum who needs to hear it. Screenshot it, pop it on your stories, tag me. Let's get this message out there. Let's get mums setting boundaries. And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next episode. Thank you for being here and giving me your time. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to Chat with Charlie on Mum Matters. Find ongoing support in the Mum Matters community. Link is in the show notes, because behind every child is a mum who matters. See you next time.